Lads, we're back.
You're back.
Hey!
Still
Bizarre!
alive.
It's Daniel, it's Alex, and Adam. Woo! Yeah! Guys, I want to give the listeners a reason why they should not only be listening to the audio portion of the show, but also the YouTube version, because right now we have a guest in preview. I wonder if you can see her.
It is your dog.
That's my lovely golden lab, Carrie. She's about 1.5 years old. I love her. She's, of course, named after Carrie Presley. I mentioned that before. So if you want to see an adorable little pup, you should check out the show on YouTube. And
Not
yeah,
Carrie
you can
Underwood?
see. Shut up. And then you can see also how visibly upset I get with these two when they make jokes like that. And I think I should start off the show saying, Daniel, I think you owe me an apology.
Okay.
Not just, but right now I'm actually wearing a jersey, as I always like to do. And it has an A on it. So who do you think is on the back of this jersey?
Thomas Buchanan.
Brian Giunta.
It is not Brian Giunta.
It's Thomas Buchanan.
Scott Gomez.
It is Thomas Plekanec. And by the way, the A is an alternative captain. It actually stands for Adam because he's a big fan. But Thomas Plekanec. Now, as you know, we have to be good to our listeners. And fortunately, out of probably the 4 people that listen to this podcast, one of which is my mother, who was a very passionate House fan, and her favorite Hab of all time is actually Thomas Plekanec. So when she was listening to last episode, or no, was it it was last episode, and you brought up Thomas Plekanec.
Legend. 4th line center.
She
Thomas
was
Plekanec.
so mad that she wanted to come on the show while we were recording and give you shit. And I was like, no. I will. You have to wear the jersey and make him apologize. So, Alex,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Daniel, because of this, you've caused great trauma to my mother. My dog is now sleeping because she's so sad and so upset with you. So I think you owe everyone in my household an apology, and especially like an ex.
All right. The Faluge household, I apologize for calling Thomas Plekanec a Leafs great.
Oh, geez.
I think Alex feels the same way where, he's a great guy, great player. I think we just wanted a splice of that in Toronto.
That was such a good save. That was so good.
We just wanted a splice of that, and I think that maybe I took it too far with that. You get caught up in the playoffs hype and everything. So I apologize. He's always going to be remembered as a Hab.
Yeah, that's good. That's
He
very
didn't
good.
re-sign with Toronto.
No, it's really funny. When he came back July 1st, they said, so when exactly did you know you were coming back? And he's like, the re-sign period. Even though, let's be honest, the moment he went to Toronto, they knew he was coming
Well, they're
back.
already
So,
Sorry,
on course. As soon as the
Everyone
deal
in
happened.
Montreal owns the whole thing with his turtlenecks, not Toronto.
yeah, remember, wasn't it, God, who was it? When his first game back in Montreal, it was like Brendan Gallagher, Ichiri Lehkonen, and someone else wore turtlenecks to mess with him. They were just laughing. Like, you can't wear a turtleneck without referencing Thomas Plekanec. Forget about Wayne Gretzky's weird turtleneck he had. It belongs to Thomas Plekanec. Anyway, though, before I hand the show over to Alex, because it's of course his episode of Bizarre Adventures today, we'll be doing some lists and such. I think we'd be remiss in not giving our best wishes and condolences to the friends and family of the updated, I believe it's now up to 22 dead in Nova Scotia after the country's biggest mass shooting. I say 22 because of the article I'm seeing from The Guardian. Apparently it's up to 22 people have been identified as victims. Sidney Crosby and Brad Marchand, from what I've seen, both Nova Scotian guys, have also given their best wishes to their home province and that, and we would like to do the same here on this show. But anyway, though, I won't linger on it again. Something we'd like to bring up, best wishes, of course, once again. But Alex, sorry, why don't you get us going with the fun?
I think you're missing
our
one
favorite
thing, though.
What am I missing?
NWHL.
Oh, yes. Finally, one little thing in this baby power hour. The NWHL is bringing for season 6, they call it, which is weird. It's like a TV show. Are expanding to bring a team to Toronto. Of course, all of our home cities here in Southern Ontario.
Finally bringing the NWHL to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Good first step.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely.
It probably won't last because they can't figure it out. But anyway, Daniel, anything else you would like to bring up when it comes to hockey news before we get started here?
No, that's it. I think
Alright.
we're pretty much covered. To go right into it. Again, apologize to your mom for the Thomas Buchanan slip.
It's okay, man. It's okay. I'm gonna take this jersey off because it's pretty hot. Got my window open.
Okay.
But the weather's nice.
Is it?
Go outside.
I haven't been outside.
I'm sorry, I thought it was a Scott Gomez jersey.
No, I will never own a Scott Gomez jersey. We gave Mike McDonough for that guy.
So, I'm going to tell you about what the hell we're doing today. So, we've been in quarantine or self-isolation. We've been social distancing. That's the word I'm using. For about just pretty much over a month. Probably a month and a half at this point. So, we finally got around to it. We're going to do our quarantine lists. We have 6 topics. Top 3 lists that we're going to do. And I have 3 surprises that they don't know about.
I'm scared, Daniel.
No, they're not that bad.
scared.
They're actually, it's fun. Today's supposed to be a fun episode, okay?
Because we're fun guys.
Yeah, we're fun guys. It's the 2-on-1 podcast.
Why? Yeah.
Fun guys.
Actually, do we want to tell Daniel what we have planned for the other behind the scenes stuff for the show that we were talking about before the start?
What stuff?
You know, never mind. We'll leave it as a tease. But there's a change coming to the aesthetic of the show
Oh, yes.
that we're gonna leave as a surprise.
Okay.
Yeah,
See, this is what happens when I come late to the
I know.
meetings.
we're gonna put a duck
No, they're
logo
just-
on the
They're
show.
Are they meetings or are they
Sorry, no.
barbecues?
Barbecues. I don't know.
Adam, do you not get it? Adam
Meeting-
doesn't
barbecue
get it. God
meetings.
damn it. Adam doesn't get it.
Oh, it was an episode of STP. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the sound of it, I'm going with Jesse Blake. It was a meeting, not a barbecue.
Okay, let's get this started. The weird introduction today. Okay, what you guys want to start
bizarre-
with? Pardon?
A bizarre introduction.
Oh, okay,
For bizarre event.
Of
Yes.
course. Okay, which one do you guys want to start with?
What are you most passionate about, Alex?
Honestly, I think we should start with the sports one. Let's go top 3 hockey games to watch.
Okay.
Let's start with Daniel.
Oh, me? Okay.
Yeah.
So I have technically 4
I knew
instead of
it.
3.
Bastard.
Okay.
I knew it.
I'll do it in. You want me to? Yeah, I'll do it in chronological order. Some
Sure.
are like pretty obvious ones. Okay, so game 1 is the one that I think a top game to rewatch is. I didn't realize like when I was a kid how intense it was. Was game 6 of the 2007 Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
So that was the Ducks versus the Red Wings when the Red Wings were in the Western Conference. And I remember that game. That was a fierce game. That was when you remember like the Red Wings, they were like rolling out like Datsuk and Zetterberg on separate lines, but like they also like
course.
just got Todd Bertuzzi at the deadline. Dominic Hasek at like 43 was still dominant. And what you saw was like that promising Ducks team that, I'm always going to love that, like Kunitz, Getzlaf, Perry on the second line. First line was, Dustin Penner, Getzlaf, and Perry, on the second line. First line was Kunitz, Andy McMillan, Team Sling. That was a crazy game. So like it was a back and forth. No one knew who was really going to win. This was at the Joe Louis Arena, and this was when the Ducks actually went to the finals. But that was like
Isn't that
pretty
when they
intense
won the
game.
cup?
That was when they won the cup, yeah. But I actually thought they were going to get eliminated by the Red Wings because this was still like, no matter what age he is, prime Nicholas Lidstrom. This was when like Datsuk and Zetterberg were still both putting up like 90 points a season, and they still had like Chris Draper, Thomas Holmstrom, all those like crazy role player guys that they somehow find in like the later rounds. My second game is I picked it because of the whole bizarre theme today. Was like Game 3, I believe, yes, of the Penguins and Flyers in the 2012 playoffs. That game was like 8-6.
Yeah.
I kind of felt when I was watching this game like every shot went in. That was kind of when the Penguins started thinking, I don't know, like if Marc-Andre Fleury could really deal with this like mentally, and then they kept switching in between like Thomas Vokoun. And I remember just this one goal that I could take from that game was, I don't know, like he doesn't really do this too much anymore, but Jordan Stahl went for like this crazy deke and he just like snapshot it past like Ilya Bryzgalov, and I'm like, whoa, where did that come
Ilya
from?
Bryzgalov. Wow.
Yes.
I have not heard that name in a long, long time.
Apparently, he was not well liked by his teammates because he could not make a save.
It could stop a
Also,
Alright.
bit of a weird dude. Is that also the series? Didn't Crosby get into a fight with like Giroux or something?
Yes, that was when they interviewed Crosby and Claude Giroux. It's like, I don't like the guy. I just don't like the guy.
Yeah. God, that's so sad.
That was crazy. That was like when they were still enforcers. I remember it was like Eric Goddard for the Pens against Zach Ronaldo of the Flyers. That's when the Penguins kind of like, they didn't win it, but they kept stacking their defense. I remember that, like Zbigniew Mahalik, Paul Martin, not the former prime minister, Chris Letang coming into his own. Yeah, like that was a crazy team, but like they couldn't really kind of figure things out. Okay, so game 3. Okay, so I kind of lied. I didn't put this in chronological order. So
That's
my
okay.
third one is a regular season game in April. I actually watched it recently with my family, and that was the Panthers and the Leafs in 2006 in April.
Okay.
It was a crazy game. Joe Nieuwendyk, he signed with the Panthers after the deadline. He left the Leafs, and he had a trick against this game. But the Leafs still somehow won the game because Matt Sundin scored 4 goals.
Yep. That's Matt.
It was a wild game. Like it was crazy. So Jeff O'Neill was on the Leafs at the time, and Jamie McLennan was the goalie for the Panthers that game.
Man, that's a throwback.
Yeah, I always kind of wonder, like, did they ever talk about that game afterwards? Like, that was an insane game for both of them.
Nieuwendyk's a weird player because you just mentioned there he left the Leafs and went to the Panthers. Then
Yeah.
there was this time where he was a Flame, and then he got dealt to the Stars for a Ginla. Nieuwendyk's a weird dude. Like the most I've ever heard of Nieuwendyk is that he was good, but also like man, he went a lot of places for a good player. It's
Yeah,
weird.
he went around quite a bit. Like, he won, like, Calgary, Dallas, New Jersey. He won all 3 of those teams. Not with the Leafs, unfortunately.
Sorry about it. You bring up Sundin, great players that just fortunately could not do it there. I felt bad, Daniel, because a lot of these games, especially that Panthers game,
Yeah.
that is before my time. But it's funny that you mentioned McLennan and O'Dog. Just looking, of course, now 2/3 of Overdrive on TSN. Do you think Armdog was as loud of a player as he is a broadcaster?
I don't know. Apparently, like, even when I remember he talked about in his rookie year, he was still like an outspoken guy on the Whalers, and then people are like, "Oh, like."
Sorry, Arm Dog or O Dog?
Yeah,
Which
O
one?
Dog.
Adam? You mean
Wait.
O-Dog?
You're talking about Jeff. Yeah, sorry. I mean Jeff O'Neill.
Not Colby
I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Armstrong? Not Colby Armstrong.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot they had like similar nicknames. No, I don't know. I'm not talking about former Hab, former Penguin. I'm talking about
Jeff.
O'Neill, TSN.
okay.
Yes.
I remember him talking about when he came into the league. Like, he said he had like the swagger with him, and they asked him, when you look back on your like rookie year, what was the hardest thing? And he's like picking the music for the warm-ups because he wanted to appease everybody on the roster. You wanted to be like that kid coming onto the roster saying like, okay, yeah, we're going to be listening to this, guys.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So that was your
okay.
3, or you
That
have
was-
one more?
Yeah, one bonus.
Okay, just go. It's
I think it was what am I going to pick? 2009 NHL Finals, Game 7. between the Penguins and the Red Wings, and I just picked that because, like, for me, that was like the pinnacle of this entire Penguins rebuild finally worked out. And you guys remember the Penguins, they came back in the third period, thanks to Max Talbot. That was kind of random. Penguins grinder. Fleury makes that like split-second save to win the cup. Had Joe Louis Arena, that was crazy, and Malkin had like 36 points in 24 games to win the Conn Smythe. Yeah, so
Talk about that's a guy we don't talk enough about is Evgeny Malkin. Now that was 09 it was them and Detroit in the back-to-back series, right?
Yeah.
And when did Hossa leave Detroit?
So he lost to them in 2008.
And then he
signed with the Red Wings for 1 year, and then he lost to the Penguins in 2009.
Yeah.
He went ring fishing, eh?
Yes.
And after that, he signed a 12-year contract with the Blackhawks.
Man, I'm telling you,
they're still paying for it.
Those are the best things ever. I mean, I wouldn't want a team to sign it now. But looking at it now, those long-term contracts are freaking hilarious.
Yes, like
backdiving
cap.
Rick DiPietro, how many years? 15, was it?
That was the same summer. Kovalchuk was offered 17 years.
Yes.
And they took the Devils' first-round pick away for circumventing the cap.
Yes. I remember. Brian Burke always talks about them going to the Court of Arbitration or something to talk about it. It was funny. Okay, Adam.
Yeah. So Daniel was pretty all right there with that. He didn't really go to his fan. There was a bit of Duck stuff in there, a little bit of the Leafs. But it was more entertainment there, especially with that TSN reference. Two of my games are actually, I have honorable mentions as well, and most of these are Montreal games, except for one. I'll start with that. Mine is last year's Cup Final, Game 7, Blues and Bruins, because the first, of course, we've talked about this before, that we're all fans, but at some point you also start rooting for stories and players, right? The first non-Hab I was ever a big fan of was Vladimir Tarasenko, so I was very much rooting for the Blues last year. And, of course, the story with him is fantastic. You know, started January, last place. Bennington all of a sudden comes up after Brodeur was blocking his career for a few years. Let's say Lewis, don't worry about it. That's good.
For 7 games.
No. He was in the organization. I will die on this point. But anyway, I think why I love this game so much is that massive save that Binnington makes towards the end of the first period, like the sprawling leg spread save, because that is the moment where on the broadcast they talk about that's the kitchen sink. That's everything in the kitchen sink. They were not going to get past Jordan Binnington. Of course, in that series too, you also had every time, or in that entire playoff run, anytime the Blues lost, they would come back with such a strong game. And they either really were underdogs, which is weird to look on of the team they've turned into this season. Also, it's hilarious to watch Brad Marchand turn over the game winner. And then, I don't want to laugh at someone crying, but this is Brad Marchand, who is known for spearing and licking people. So that was it was a feel-good moment as well, to see so many of those guys like Steen, Pietrangelo, Tarasenko win that cup. And I think because of that loss, the Bruins became the team who has lost the most amount of cup finals, which is hilarious. So we should all mention that. My second game is actually the Montreal Canadiens versus the Boston Bruins. This is in April. No, sorry. Hold on. I've got to do some math here. This is round 2, Game 7, 2014. This is, of course, the game where I'm trying to remember. Subban in this anytime the Habs played went against the Bruins, it was just incredible. I think also in this series where PK Subban had his famous breakaway goal, which is probably the Habs' most electric goal over the past decade. And what I'll tell you guys that, listen, winning a Game 7 in TD Garden is such a good feeling as a fan. See your team go in there and do it. And it's probably the highlight of this 2014 conference final run for the Habs. Of course, this is when I really got into hockey. So a lot of things really were solidified for me as a fan in this series. Of course, how electric Subban is. Carey Price was so scary in this. I believe in Game 7 too, Deo Weiss, of course, had the opening goal, and of course he was taunting Milan Lucic the entire time. These are the moments that you remember, and it's made these past few years so much more difficult as a Habs fan because you just want success, right?
Yeah.
So those are my first two. Those are my first two. My third is Montreal versus Ottawa, April 26, 2015, round 1, game 6. Montreal were up 3-0 in this series. They actually chased out the Hamburglar. This was Andrew Hammond's first year when he came incredible, all this breaking records for his first 20-odd games. And in this, of course, there's the famous massive Subban goal where Markov starts kissing him. Alex Galchenyuk had a wicked just spin around overtime winning goal. It was fantastic. And the cherry on top was Game 6. About 2 minutes left, Jacob De La Rose takes a tripping penalty. It's 1-0 Montreal at this point. And Carey Price shuts the damn door. 44 saves to clinch the series for the Canadiens. Oh, it was so... These are the days. And of course, 14-15 was the season Price won the Hart, the Vezina, the Ted Lindsay, the Jow. It was so good. It's just such a good feeling to look back at that game. I remember when Jacob De La Rose took that penalty. I was so angry with him. I was like, you idiot, what do you do? Like, we are not in a good position here. Craig Anderson's come in, and it's one of those things in his career when he pulls out a rabbit out of his hat, and you're terrified here, because if this goes to 7, I'm not feeling great about this, even if it is in Montreal. But Carey Price says, no, I'm Carey goddamn Price, and we're going to win this damn game, and he did it. He did it.
I don't want to sound mean. I just have a question.
Yes.
Was this the last time they made the playoffs, or did they make the playoffs the year after?
They missed in 2016. That was Price was hurt the whole year. And then they made it in 2017 but lost in 6 to the Rangers.
Oh, okay.
Two honorable mentions. One is actually in 2017, Game 2. Plekanec ties the game up with a few seconds left in the third. Radulov wins in OT. Because this was the second playoff game I ever went to. I went to Game 1 as well, but the Habs got shut out. And so this was Game 2, the one I'm talking about right now. And I remember Jeff Petrie, Montreal's first goal, and I celebrated so hard, I stood up and I accidentally punched the guy behind me in the stands. And he grabbed my arm, like, yeah, high five! And he's just angry, and his chin's all red. I'm like, oh no. But he was fine with it. He was like, yeah, I get it. And when Plekanec tied the game up with a few seconds left, I couldn't stop shaking. It was so... playoffs at the Bell Center is just something I've never felt so... I can't put it into words how special it is, and just the energy of it. It's fantastic. And my last honorable mention, of course, is any Habs game last year from the 18-19 season between Montreal and the Capitals. There's that wicked save Carey Price made on Ovechkin where Ovi had to give him a fist bump. Jesperi Kotkaniemi had his first goal and second goal in the same game of this where, the Habs almost lose it, but Max Domi gets the game winner for a few seconds left as well. Then Jolar gets an empty 2 seconds later, setting a new NHL record. They were always such exciting games. Ovechkin's always going to light the Habs up, but they're fighting back. It's just 18-19. It sucks the way it did with the Habs missing it by 1 point, but it was just such an enjoyable season to watch with so many great moments, and a lot of those came against the Washington Capitals.
That's awesome. Okay. So, last but not least, I'll give my three. First one is 2010 Olympics, United States versus Canada, going into OT. I mean, I don't really have to describe it. Everyone knows what happened. The ref did not kick the puck. Okay, I'm just saying. Just putting that out there.
That's still my favorite Olympic too.
It's awesome. That team is awesome. My second one is going back now, I guess it was 2016, 2017, Game 81, the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's the first time I legitimately saw a team make the playoffs, a Leafs team make the playoffs. I don't count 2012 to 2012-13 because that wasn't an actual team. That was a pile of crap. So it was really nice to see them clinch the playoffs, and of course it was all Connor Brown. So it was just it had to be that guy. Like, it had to be one of the guys who was there, who was drafted, developed by the team, happens to be hometown, which is always awesome. And my last game, I didn't pick any honorable mentions. I apologize. Not as good as you two. Last game, I went completely. I don't know why I picked this one, but I cheated a little bit. I picked a series instead of a specific game. We're going back to 1993. The Toronto Maple Leafs in the Western Conference Finals. I believe it was the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, they played in the Western Conference. I don't know why. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Los Angeles Kings.
Why?
Because I've heard so much about this team. You know, they were that team that really could have pushed towards it, and then the ref missed the blood, and then Wayne Gretzky scored, and then. But Doug Gilmour had 127 points in, for some reason it says 83 games.
Did he traded that year? Or?
No. I don't know. I think it was just mixed up. There was also Wendell Clark. Love Wendell Clark. And Felix Potvin.
The cat.
See, you gotta be careful what you wish for there, because you know what's really frustrating as a Habs fan.
Tell me.
When I look back on '93, even though it was 6 years before I was born, that when people talk about the '93 playoffs, they never talk about the fact that Montreal actually won. It's always the damn high stick that Gretzky got away with. It's always that.
That's exactly.
It's so frustrating.
Yep.
It's not the Blue Jays?
Nope. No one cares about the Blue Jays.
Daniel, I'm just going to pan my computer to the door. There it is. You can just walk out right now. I love you, Daniel.
No, but I really, like, that's one series that I hear so much about. And even though, you know, I know what the ending is, that the Leafs, they did lose. But it seemed like, you know, I read a book, and it was written by Damien Cox, and I think it was called The Last Good Year. And it kind of talks about that series. It talks about different players. And it's like, man, like, this is like a series that I never got to experience. And if you and for me, it's like, okay, so I kind of started watching hockey religiously around 2010, and you think about 2010 to 2000 and essentially 2016 have literally just been dog piles of garbage. Literally just dumps on the floor, on a carpet. That's what, and you just smear it into the carpet.
That's some descriptive language right there. Yeah.
It's like,
if you want more descriptive language like that from Alex, go check out his feature on TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not bad. That was poor description, but the one in my article is much better. But it's like,
wait, is this a Golden Star one?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
You know if they're still random? Do you know if they're still open for takeout?
Yeah, takeout
okay.
and deliver, and they're on Uber Eats and Skip the Dishes.
Okay. That's an aside. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm getting hungry. It's almost lunchtime for me.
So like I want to see, like, when you think about the Leafs now, you think about Austin Matthews, you think about Mitch Marner, you think about Nylander, Riley Anderson, but like for me growing up, a Leafs fan, yes, I got into hockey and Phil Kessel happened to be a Leaf. That's why, like, he was kind of my favorite player. But when you talk to someone about the Leafs, it's like, man, like, you know, Doug Gilmour, Wendell Clark, Matt Sundin, Felix Potvin, Curtis Joseph. Like, there's all these guys that were talked about that I never got to see play. So I'd love to go back and watch this.
That's great, yeah. It's like something I kind of think about too. Like, I think like all of us could kind of relate to that. That there's these guys we always kind of talk about. Like, realistically, we talk about, like, I don't know, we'll talk about like 1986 and Patrick Waugh, for example.
Yeah.
But you know, none of us were born.
Yeah.
For that, or but you always hear about it. Even like the few times I've been to Montreal, no one's gonna talk to me about Jose Theodore or Jocelyn Thibault.
No.
Shoot. And I think this is a series, and I know they won't do this, but I really want them to do this, to play on Sportsnet. I don't know why, but like I'd love to watch this series if they put it on Sportsnet. I would literally stay in front of the TV and watch each and every single game.
That'd be great. Yeah. It's like the perfect time. I've
Even
been
though
watching
they
a lot
lost.
of like. Have you been watching the retro games?
Some of them.
They're pretty good. Like they're really fun. Like the 1994 Devils and Rangers, or the controversial Brett Hall goal. That one was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Okay, shall we move on to the next topic?
Yeah. Speaking of God, with this hockey one for a while.
I know. Do you want to just get started with shows then? Top 3 shows that people should watch during quarantine.
Me?
Yeah, Daniel, start. Go ahead.
Okay. So my top 3 shows are. Well, I have one honorable mention because technically I don't know if I wanted to add this as a top one because this is like my 4th time through it.
That's okay.
Okay, so number 1 for me, this is like my ultimate, like, de-stressor feel-good show is Bob's Burgers.
Okay.
It's so funny. Like, the animation is amazing, and they have the right amount of, like, dry humor and, I guess, pop culture references, but, like, they don't overdo it.
Right.
I don't know. It's like a great show. It's like just about, like, a small-time family restaurant trying to get by in a small town. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, you guys just need to watch it. Have you guys watched it?
Yeah.
A couple.
Yeah?
Like, I've seen some episodes on TV.
You like it?
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it's cool. All right.
It's difficult to watch it at the same time as watching Archer because Bob and Archer have the same voice actor.
Oh yeah.
And have you ever seen the episode of Archer when like they make it so he's actually Bob from Bob's Burger?
Oh yeah. They have the burger place.
That's yeah. Go on. Sorry, Daniel. Just thought I mentioned that.
No problem. Number 2 is a throwback from the 90s for me, and that is Third Rock from the Sun.
Wow, that is a good show. Oh,
I grew up with the show. It's kind of weird to see a 12-year-old Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't. The show, it never. Like, I'm watching it right now. Like, I think I told you guys I've been working on like this really long feature for a while, and to kind of like break up like my, I guess like the times I finished the writing portions, I'll watch one episode of The Rock from the Sun,
Yeah.
and like it, same thing to you as Bob's Burgers, puts me in a good mood. It's so funny. Like I'm someone that barely laughs out loud, and this show just like gets to me every time. That I think, yeah, that's tied with number 1. Number 3, and this one's kind of off the board compared to the other 2, and that's Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Okay.
It's the anime from 1995.
Man, if I knew you were going to bring up anime, Daniel, this would have been a fun.
This is right down
Hey, just talk to
Adam's
me. Let's go.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I love it. For me, I think like I'm not as big of an anime fan as Adam is, but I love mechas. So like Gundam Wing, Escaflowne, all that kind of stuff. Pardon?
Ever watch Code Geass?
No, I better check that one out.
Watch Code Geass.
But yeah, I don't know. It has a cool vibe to it. Reminds me of Pacific Rim. The art really holds up. Yeah, highly recommended. I like that I add variety to that list.
Ah, fancy you. Okay, since Adam's
Yes,
disappeared, I'll just go.
Yeah, I don't know where you went.
So my top 3 shows that people should watch. Number 1 is The Office, and I think it's just
Yes.
it's the overused answer, but I think it's hilarious. Only seasons 1 to 7 though.
Yeah,
Because
I
seasons-
rewatched it. Like,
Seasons 8 and 9 without Steve Carell, and especially that last episode where it's really emotional. It's just not
Yeah.
as good without Steve Carell. And they try putting these characters in where it's funny, but it's not the same. Like, they bring in Robert California, obviously. But, like,
The Lizard King.
James Spader's not funny.
Pardon?
James Spader's not funny.
But he's good at other things.
Like Ultron.
Yeah. No, what the hell is the show called? Now the name's not coming
Blacklist?
to me. Yeah. I think. He's in another show. It's on Netflix. I see it all the time. And I watched an episode. It was good. My second show, Breaking Bad.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a juice. Yeah.
That
good.
is a phenomenal
finished it.
show. It's I've gone through it twice. And I would watch it
Really?
again. I love that show. Like,
Why is Skyler the worst?
Pardon?
Why is Skyler the worst person ever?
I don't know. But I love the show because it's so like, it's like there's all the endings are like they keep drawing you back in. And that makes a good show. Like, especially when it's not comedy. You know, comedy, like something like The Office or something like Third Rock from the Sun or something like Bob's Burgers doesn't have to drag you. It doesn't have to have that kind of like cliffhanger at the end. Because it's like, oh, you're just coming back for the humor. Whereas something like Breaking Bad or like other shows kind of leave that cliffhanger. Or like Tiger King. I still haven't seen Tiger King, but I've heard very good things about it. I hear there's lots of cliffhangers, stuff like that. My last show, and I suggest both of you watch it because it is good, even if you're not a fan of this sport, is the Formula One Drive to Survive. It is spectacular. Like, it's not about, when you watch it, you realize it's not about the cars. You realize that there's just all these rivalries going on, whether it be between like these like inner team rivalries or just between drivers. Oh, it's so good. I suggest both of you watch it. Those are
I never thought about that one.
Pardon?
I never thought about the Formula One. I should check that one out.
Yeah, like even people who aren't into Formula One, like I've seen it on Twitter a lot, that a bunch of people have been watching. Like I know for a fact Justin Bourne watched it because he had tweeted about it. And saying, yeah, like, I'm ready to watch the Formula One season, where I don't think I've ever heard him talk about Formula One, ever. So,
That's a weird, that's a sport that, like, racing, that, like, I've always seen, like, a lot of hockey fans especially have always been like, listen, if you really sit down and get into it, it's actually very entertaining, even though at first you're kind of like, I don't want to watch racing.
No,
I think it was Talladega Nights. I don't know why. Talladega Nights. Oh,
have you ever seen Talladega Nights?
No. That's my only experience with Formula One.
No, but that's not Formula One. Oh, I guess the guy.
Oh, it's not?
No, that's NASCAR. But the French guy.
NASCAR, sorry. Yes.
The French
Jean
guy,
Girard, yes.
Jean Girard is from Formula One. That's what he says. But it's very interesting. Like, you realize, like, there's so much more to it than just driving a car. It's a whole new respect level. Okay, Adam, 3 shows.
All right. Two are anime, by the way. Okay, well, 3 because I have an honorable mention. I'll bring up my honorable mention now because it's a show I never shut up about. Watch Star Wars: Clone Wars. It's good. All right. Like all of these that I'm going to mention, except for one, the rest of them are animated, and people just don't seem to give animated stuff respect. And I get so angry about it. But Star Wars: Clone Wars, if you like Star Wars,
yeah,
just watch it. It humanizes Anakin so well. Obi-Wan is treated like a freaking king with the best storylines. Yoda's pretty funny. It's in its final arc right now. Like Darth Maul's in it, and everyone loves Darth Maul, even though Phantom Menace is not a movie. It's just I can't just put this into words. You just watch it. It's on Disney Plus. It's there. There's 7 seasons. Watch it. Watch it. There's 3 episodes left to be aired.
How many seasons?
We're in season
7 and this last season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 more episodes of Legion Man are happening. Every Friday, Disney Plus, ladies and gentlemen. Sponsor us, Disney. You own everything else in the world. Share that well. Okay, my first show it's very popular, but a lot of people have fallen out of love with it because the ending was so naff. But I really do think the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones is something so special. Like, the writing is just... And a big part of it is apparently D&D, who of course were the showrunners, did a lot of work when it came to going to the actors and that. Like, the performances from a young Kit Harington, Peter Dinklage, Lena Headey, Nikolai Castavalda. Like, the cast are phenomenal and do such a good job. And Sean Bean, of course, and just it defies expectations in so many good ways. And like the theme of like George R. R. Martin, when he was writing, as he's been writing the books, has always made the point that the only thing worth writing about is the human heart. And the way that really goes into the series and how it's translated in the earlier seasons into the show is so good. It does such a good job of showing like what war actually does to the common folk. And revenge, and why it is not a good thing. Like there are so many characters who are all out for revenge, and terrible things happen to them, whether they are the good guys or the bad guys.
No, I was just say, can I be honest?
Go ahead.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I have never seen a single clip or episode of Game of Thrones. Not because I don't like it. I'll get to it eventually.
You should.
It's pretty funny. So I don't know why I did this, but I got to a certain point in the books and in the show of a character I really liked that died, and I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, I
know that happens often.
I don't want to ask you because I don't want to spoil things for Alex, but were they a Northman?
Yeah. Yes.
I think I know who you're talking about. Because he was one of my favorites, too, if it's a guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about. And yeah, I was to this day, I'm still a big fan of the guy. Rest in peace, my man. Yeah. So that's all. And I'm spoiler. They're based off of my. They're also very, especially the third one, best book I've ever read. My next show. These are both anime. Okay, and they are probably. If you look at the history of manga and anime, these are 2 of the most popular, beside Dragon Ball, because that's just... Like, even one of them, the one I'm going to bring up first is actually the highest-selling manga of all time, and if you do all of comic book history, it's 3rd, and it's going to overtake Batman by the time this series is done. It's been going since 1997. It's over 900 anime episodes and still going on, and the manga is at 977 chapters, I believe, 798 coming out Monday. And that is, of course, the anime that is known, and manga series, as I get my flag out, of One Piece. Of course, it is a show that, to say, it's basically about a guy named Monkey D. Luffy, who is out to become the Pirate King. Or King of the Pirates. And along the way, he recruits his crew, and it really just becomes like a tale of these guys going out to achieve their dreams. A big thing is friendship and like what Luffy really does for his crew, how much he cares about them. The amount of emotional moments that are going to make you cry in the show is incredible. And something that One Piece does better than anything else is long-term storytelling. There are, let's say you're about like 100 chapters into the show. There will be a reference and call back to a character about 600 chapters later. I'm not exaggerating. It's incredible. It's the only anime I've gone out and like bought the actual manga for. Of course, I have my flag. This is one of my favorite characters. His name is Tony Chopper. He is a human. Sorry, he is a reindeer who ate the human fruit, because there are things called devil fruits that give you powers in the show, and he's actually the team doctor, the crew doctor. Now, I'll just give you a few characters. There's Luke. Yeah, no, he's a doctor. Damn it! He science. He saves lives. Damn it! There's Luffy, who's the captain. He has the power to make his body rubber. It's weird. There's Zoro, who is the swordsman of the crew. There's Nami, who is the navigator. She's awesome. There's Usopp, who is a long nose and is known for lying. Guess what that's a reference to. There's Robin, who's like the crew's architect. Then it gets really weird. There's Sanji, who's a chef who just loves kicking people and is obsessed with women. There's Frankie, who is a cyborg. There is Chopper, who I mentioned, a reindeer who's a doctor. That's pretty weird. There's also Brooke, who is a living skeleton, who has an afro, his root so deep, his afro. I know this sounds really stupid. He can play instruments. He's the musician of the band, and he is best friends with a whale.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, and he's like 80 years old, but his skeleton, his soul, like he ate the soul fruit. So his soul got separated from his body, but his soul couldn't find his body for like 20 years, so he had decomposed, except for his afro, which he brings in his heart. So it's it's pretty fat, crazy, but at its heart, it's a very emotional show, and it's kind of anime in a nutshell that it's completely crazy. And I'm going to stop talking because I have to talk about one more show, but I love One Piece, and give it a shot because
You sold it well to us.
I hope I did. And yeah, Chopper, he's adorable. He has a blue nose, people. Like, come on. My last one is another very, very now. If in a popularity poll in Japan, this next show was actually voted above One Piece. And that's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because this series of the show is called Bizarre Adventure. So
That sounds familiar, yeah.
I don't know where that's from.
Now, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a series that's been going since the 80s, I believe. And it is divided into parts. It's currently in its 8th part now. And every new part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has a different setting, theme, genre, cast of characters. You might have one or two recurring, but it starts in like 15th century, like 16th century England in like a horror film type genre. Then the second part is it's like your classic American action film. Then when you get to part 3, it's like that story about like the dude travels across the world in 80 days and something like that, except they fight vampires. Then I'm going to skip part 4 for a second. Part 5 is about like Italian mafia group trying to work their way up the rank. Part 6, a prison. 7 is a western, 8 is a mystery. And the reason I've waited to talk about part 4 is that's my favorite. It's called Diamond is Unbreakable. And this is a slice of life little story. And also, as I said, there are new characters in every part, right? Or as they're called JoJo's. Now, part 4 has a guy named Josuke Higashita. He has a pompadour. It's set in the 90s, so it's cool. And Josuke is my favorite because he has a heart of gold. Like, there's a scene where he meets his dad, right? And his dad's like estranged, never really known him. And as his dad's getting off a boat, his cane snaps and he's about to fall. And Josuke catches him, right? And he holds his hand and he helps him walk, right? The reason this is significant is because there's these thing called stands, or basically superpowers, right? And Josuke has a stand called Shining Diamond where he can repair anything. So instead of using his stand to repair his dad's cane, he instead, oh, it's going to make me cry. He like standing up, just boom. And there's just so many great characters. Like, watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. So good, so freaking good, just amazing. Watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
No, so okay, I will watch it, but Daniel and I will just let you talk for an hour, because I guarantee you can do it with like no problem.
No, I am trying to keep this down. It's just like I love, like, man, I can't tell you how much I love a lot of these series and how much they mean to me. It's just like you talk about escape and that. It's just like there's nothing better to escape than with anime, and because it's so crazy. It's so bizarre. Like, I love imagination so much, and just some of the guys that these mangakas like create, like a rubber man, a man out of mochi, a bull shark. Like, dude, I can't even get into it. I will stop now because I know I've talked a lot here. But watch all those shows.
Okay.
So good.
We're 50 minutes in and we've done 2. I thought we had too little amount of lists. Maybe we have too many.
I don't. We're just so passionate about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to movies.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
Adam's still on his momentum stride, so I think you should go.
Adam goes first. Top 3 movies.
Okay, number 1, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I don't need to explain it. We looked at the.
We spent an hour and a half last week.
It's my favorite movie. I think it's great. My second one is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Okay.
There's a, that's if you haven't watched or seen Harry Potter, like I don't think Daniel, Alex, sorry, I don't have. It's such a great and iconic series as Harry Potter, and Prisoner of Azkaban is just simply my favorite movie. The relationship with Sirius and Harry that you find out towards the end of the movie. Remus Lupin is one of my favorite characters, and he's a werewolf. It's awesome. And just, the performances in the movie from, kid actors. You gotta give a lot of credit to the Harry Potter series because they had to, shoot in a certain amount of time with these actors growing up. And, I'm not gonna say too much else because you should see Harry Potter. And again, I went on so much about those animes that I'm gonna try and cut down here. And my last movie is actually, you guys are gonna laugh at this. It's actually a Pokemon movie, Destiny Deoxys. Listen, I love Pokemon. I'm a dork. I know.
I still love Pokemon too.
It's okay.
Okay, good. So Destiny Deoxys it's based on the third generation of Pokemon, right? And that was, I think, what I grew up watching at first was that one. And it was Ash, May, Brock, her stupid little brother, Max, I think. Ash had a Corphish and Trico. It was awesome, right? This is one of the movies, and it's got Rayquaza and Deoxys, and they're so cool. And there's a Munchlax who's really, really funny. He's the comic relief, and he's making trick shots with bottles on garbage and eating cheeseburgers. And it's just the reason I put it here is because it's such a fun movie and just so much of my childhood. And honorable mention to Pokemon 2000 and Mewtwo Strikes Back, because those are great movies, part of my childhood.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, especially 2000. Lugia, my guy, love it.
I watched that in theaters. I remember I used to get you get free cards with it. I remember when we went to go to the theaters.
Yeah. Oh man. A few months ago, McDonald's was doing a thing where you got Pokemon toys and cards, and I had lost some weight over the summer because I was doing this warehouse job. I was sweating, but I'm pretty sure I put all that weight back on getting McDonald's to get those Pokemon. So yeah.
You didn't get the apple slices?
No, I got yogurt, but when you're eating 20 nuggets, it's a bit different. Anyway,
Oh my God.
I understand. I used to work at McDonald's, so yeah, the struggle.
Daniel gets it.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
Daniel, you want to go?
I have a question. So when we did these lists, did favorite movies in quarantine that we've watched, or favorite overall
That people should watch.
people should watch?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll just do a bit of a mix.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
If you have
okay.
10 movies, that's okay too. I don't mind.
Okay. Cool. All right. I guess one that's really kind of
No objection.
one that's
all the Mighty Duck movies.
the one that's really stuck with me, I guess. Okay, I'll go with the ones that really stuck with me because I watch a lot of movies. I watch 3 movies a week, new movies.
Wow.
My first one is Good Time, so it's the same director as Uncut Gems.
Okay.
But this is with Robert Pattinson. His name is Konstantin Nikas
Okay.
in the movie, and he's just small time, I guess criminal. He tries to steal from banks and everything, and then it's this whole crazy thing where his brother, who's a bit mentally challenged, gets arrested for what they did, and then he has to try to break him out of the hospital, but everything just goes crazy. It's just the way I forgot, it's these 2 brothers who are the directors that the way their movies are, it just makes you feel stressed. There's no point in time in the movie where no one is talking. There's always just someone talking, and the camera angles are right to the person's face. Funny movie. This movie is the star of it's Robert Pattinson, and this was the movie that I said okay, yeah, this guy could be Batman. He has it. Amazing. Also, I guess honorable mention with this is The Lighthouse that he did with Willem Dafoe, and it's about him going crazy. In isolation. I don't know, that sounds kind of similar to that right now, but yeah, great movie. So I'll say The Lighthouse and Good Time in that. A nostalgic one for me that is, not the best movie to be honest, but it's just one I ended up seeing because it was available, and that was Good Burger.
Okay, what's that about? Who's in that?
Keegan Thompson, the guy from SNL. When he also, he was in the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah,
Pinhead.
Can't forget that.
Yeah, it's about a struggling burger place that has to compete with a another place that like a chain that uses weird like chemicals to create bigger burgers.
Okay.
And they have to use a secret sauce to save the. But it's like I don't know. It's just like if I watch this for the first time now, I'd be like, "What is this?" But the fact that I watched it as a kid, I was like, "All right, this is amazing." Yeah.
It sounds like SpongeBob and Bob's Burgers at the same time.
Yeah, you guys should check it out. It's really off the rails. To be honest. Third one for like a movie I watched would have to be one that really stuck. I believe it was Training Day. So that's with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. It's like a 2000 movie. It's about like a crooked cop trying to learn, like a rookie cop trying to learn from a crooked cop, and he doesn't know what's going on with his day. And it's acting's great. Denzel Washington won an Oscar for this. Ethan Hawke, like he's been a guy that I've kind of really like, especially with, like the recent Richard Linklater movies, like we called again.
The Purge.
No, what's the one? Oh my god, Boyhood. Yeah. So sorry, I did. Yeah. So because when we made the list, I didn't realize that it was the top movies, but also like movie franchises, and then basing off Adam's favorite movies. I guess my top franchises would have to be like, okay, Star Wars is already a given. You know why?
I cheated a bit, so just
yeah. Okay, Star Wars kind of a given. Empire Strikes Back will always be one of my favorites. Even like A New Hope. I love the pacing in that movie.
Okay.
Off the board type of opinion, I really liked the arena battle in Episode 2. That's still like a childhood fixture for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
good things about that movie, by the way.
What else is there? Back to the Future, guys. We got to watch that. I know that might be something as an option for my bizarre adventures, but Back to the Future, it's my the first one's probably like a movie I watch at least 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
I love the movie so much. Other movie franchises that I've actually been looking back on has been Wes Anderson. So I like his art style. I like his approach to movies. He's a very nostalgic guy, like all of us are. The movies I've watched recently from him have been Royal Tenenbaums, Fantastic Mr. Fox. George Clooney is the fox in it. You guys should watch that. And what else did I watch? And Darjeeling Limited. It's like a bit of his offbeat type of one, but I think it's one really worth watching as well. But my overall favorite for him has been Bottle Rocket.
Okay.
Yes.
So
that was like,
I have
20 movies if I said like the packages.
I feel bad that I haven't heard of most of the movies you've talked about.
I know, neither have I. I know most of them, but some I'm like, I don't know what the hell this is.
They good. They sound good.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll send you a list of summaries. I've been doing that when people ask for recommendations.
Please.
Yeah.
Adam, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
Are we at franchises now?
Do movies and franchises. Just do it together.
Yeah. I'll get it away. Yeah, movies. Yeah, Jurassic Park again.
Oh, you did movies, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Doing this draft stuff is hard. Shout out to Adam for being such a good draft host. Okay.
Thank you. But yeah, I'll get my franchises out the way as well.
Okay, go.
Yeah, Harry Potter. Harry Potter's a pretty easy one because it's such a good story. And honestly, Star Wars, especially you talk about A New Hope, Daniel, it has to be the original one because Lucas messes with it. The more it goes on, it's illegal to watch the actual original version of A New Hope, fun fact. Empire 2, those are 2 good movies that are, we talked about this idea before, that not only is it a good Star Wars movie, but Empire and New Hope are good movies, period, near perfect. And of course, I have a soft spot in my heart for Episode 3 of Star Wars because, like, I don't know. I love Grievous. I love Order 66. A lot of people aren't fans of the flippy-do battles of the prequels. I love them. Like Obi-Wan versus Anakin is great for me, and as a Clone Wars fan, that just plucks at my heart.
Shout out to Kit Fisto.
Kit Fisto, gets completely dicked over in that final fight. Same with Windu. But beside that, those are the only two franchises that I'm like a massive guy. Like I don't like saying Jurassic Park because that shouldn't be a franchise. It should be the first movie, and that's it. But yeah, go ahead, Alex.
So I'll go with my movies first. The first one is The Matrix, just the first one.
Oh,
obviously.
that's a great one.
It's weird. It's like Keanu Reeves. Like, oh, I love Keanu Reeves. I love The Matrix. I love John Wick. I started to watch the John Wick movies 2 years ago, and the third one was spectacular. I'm so excited for the fourth one, and I can't wait for the new Matrix to come out. But overall, like that movie's just spectacular. Then there's Pulp Fiction. Like I think
picture,
it has such you can pick two people from that cast, and John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, and then you can throw in Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And it's such a Quentin Tarantino movie in that, it's 3 hours long. And, it's probably difficult to sit and watch. And I don't know, like, it has that weird style you start at the end, you go back to the beginning, and then it leads up to the end. And it's like, I don't know how.
That's
that's really like kind of his style, and I don't know how many people can really sit down with that. And somehow I did it, and now I love the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't seen the movie,
do you speak it?
Yeah.
I speak English and what?
and my last movie, and it's kind of off the board here, but it's really funny. I really think a lot of people will like it. It's The Other Guys.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen The Guys? Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, Michael Keaton. Like, just that alone. Like, Rob Riggle. And it's just so funny. And it's like that. It takes the typical buddy cop type of movie, kind of flips it on his head and makes it funny.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think. Like, for me, if I had to pick my favorite, like, I guess, actor comedy-wise, it would probably be Will Ferrell, simply because that's kind of what I grew up watching. Like, there's obviously Anchorman, Step Brothers, what am I missing? Old School, The Other Guys. Like, the list goes on. Like, that's kind of what I grew up watching, and that's kind of what I find funny. But those three movies, like, I'd say people should definitely go check out now. And I think if you watch those movies, you kind of get introduced to different branches of types of movies. Like Pulp Fiction, you'll get thrown into like these older movies. The Other Guys, you can start kind of exploring those different comedy movies. And The Matrix, go watch Keanu Reeves. Like, he has so many good movies. Franchises, I actually have 4 because I cheated again. Number 4 is Batman, and like the Christopher Nolan ones. So Batman Begins, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight, and then
Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark Knight Rises. Sorry, I forgot those 3. And then my third one is Rocky.
Oh, that was great. That's a great pick.
I really like.
Every sports fan has to watch Rocky, I think.
Yes, it's so good.
One of the best music ever.
Oh yeah. The second one is obviously Star Wars. 1 to 6, not 7, 8, and 9, and really 4 and 5 and 6 and 3 because 3 is really good.
And the end of 2.
Sure, and you know what? Since we're just kind of throwing things in there, the end of the hell's it
Rogue
called?
One.
Rogue One, because that's the coolest scene.
Solo is very underrated.
I haven't seen Solo.
It's a really, really good Star Wars.
I still haven't seen Solo yet. It's on the list, kind of.
I actually watched by chance. I think like it was a Tuesday after class, one of our classes last year, and I just watched it for $5 because I didn't want to travel back during rush hour, so I just went to the movies for Solo.
Wow. Appreciate the invite. Not offended.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're not.
I went by myself.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay, and my last one, and I think this is by far my favorite franchise, and I got introduced to it 2 years ago. I always knew about it. I never watched it. The Godfather.
Oh, yes. Marlon Brando is the GOAT.
Never seen any Godfather.
Okay, Adam, when this quarantine is over, we're just going to spend a day watching The Godfather.
All right.
3-hour movies. I mean, the third one, you don't really have to watch. The third one you don't really have to watch, but the first two are, I think they're phenomenal. Like some of the best movies ever made.
Mm-hmm.
The cast alone is, oh my god. The cast is so good. You have to watch it.
Yeah, I love it.
You have to watch
Sorry,
it.
I just remember the shushing thing that the Marlon Brando face he used to do. Yeah.
It's like the Robert. It's like, you know, where did Robert De Niro get his face? It's kind of like the Marlon Brando moved into the Robert De Niro, just from The Godfather. But those are my four.
I'd like to give a shout out to Julian here, who went through seeing that face on the TTC several times. That was great.
Now he does the face. Yeah. Okay, we have two more left.
Mm-hmm.
Top 3 things to do and top 3 books. Which one do you guys want to do first?
Books?
Okay, books.
Okay.
You picked. So Adam picked. Adam goes first.
Okay, books. I mentioned it earlier. The Song of Ice and Fire series, aka the series that the Game of Thrones show is based off of.
Okay.
The amount of detail that George R. R. Martin puts into world building, all that kind of stuff, is just really fun to read. Especially when you get to book 3, it's kind of like, if you want to call it anything, I'd say it's the culmination of the first half of the series. A very heartbreaking book to read. And is it hard to read sometimes? Yeah, I won't lie, but it's not as bad as some other stuff I've read. Also, I mentioned One Piece was big for long-term storytelling. Game of Thrones has that as well, I definitely say. Also, Jurassic Park, the book. I know I'm repeating myself a lot with Star Wars and Jurassic Park, but honestly, it's a really good book too. You know, Grant's pretty wicked. Ian Malcolm's even more about just, you know, complete. What's the word? Prick, but in a good way in the book. He's a total smartass. And finally, this is a bit cheating, but I'm going to especially put some spotlight on the One Piece manga. And the reason I'm saying this is I talked about how people don't give a lot of credence to anime, but especially I would say for a manga/comic book. And manga and comic books, the big difference is, like, you might have like a set of like 6 comic books that are released monthly. But manga, like One Piece, has been released weekly since 1996. They come out in about 18 pages. And what's so special about stuff like this is you could be reading a normal, like, year out. Like, another reason why you should check out the video portion of this podcast is, like, you can look at the panels of something, and, like, especially when you look at certain art. The guy who did One Piece, Ichiro Oda, is really good at drawing out facial expressions to the extreme. But there's nothing quite like when you're reading something, and all of a sudden you go to, like, multi-page spread of finding out something, and it's just like, it just pops out, and it's just so satisfying. Like, here's where we find out Luffy's newest bounty and how he's worth over 1 billion berries now. It's incredible. And
wait,
I don't know, it's
just
yes,
that's awesome.
it's basically the equivalent to, I think it's like 1.5 million or like $15 million, is because it's kind of like yen basically. But yeah, it's just I have a lot of respect for stuff like this, like, because the schedule that you guys work through also give it, and it's an underrated thing. The storytelling is comic books and manga especially, and I think those are my 3 books.
Okay,
Awesome.
Daniel.
All right, so I actually have more than 3. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
All right, I guess, like, my first one is, I think I talked about it last episode, but it's by Jack McCullum. He's a journalist. He's like a really well-known sports journalist in the U.S. And is called The 7 Seconds or Less, and it's on, like, when he spent time on the bench of the 2006 Phoenix Suns. This was, of course, this was the back-to-back year that Steve Nash won MVP. I don't know. I love it. Like, this is actually the era that actually really got me into basketball. Like, it was already there, but, like, when, like, the Suns kind of, like, it's kind of like really common now. Like the Warriors, like you see them chugging 3-pointers or like a high octane type offense. Like Phoenix was one of the first innovators to kind of bring that in. So that's kind of something that I kind of like love looking back on, or just seeing like how did they actually approach a roster to kind of cater towards Coach Mike D'Antoni's style, and then kind of like it was crazy. Like Steve Nash was already 30 when he came back to Phoenix, and somehow that's when he won his MVPs.
Before you move on, have you won an NBA championship with the Phoenix Suns in your NBA career mode, GM mode?
No, I have not. I actually got to Game 7 of the second round.
Wow.
But I lost to Kawhi and the Clippers.
You know what?
That's fair. In the close one.
That's fair.
That's fair.
That's fair.
That's like it's like starting in an NHL 20 GM mode in the Atlantic Division. You're never going to get out the second round.
Oh.
It's not fun. Especially in like year 2 or 3 when Detroit are good too. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah, because
pretty
they
funny.
progress weirdly.
I created a team for in the Atlantic Division for NHL 20. I was gonna get back to that at video games, but they're called the Vaughn Mighty Roosters.
So Daniel, what sort of drugs were you on when you decided to make the Roosters?
the Vaughn Mighty Roosters.
I don't know, because I was just gonna call them Mighty. I'm like, no, like I wanted my own thing.
Yeah.
So I call them the Mighty Roosters. Also, I don't know.
Of course you did.
I'm proud of that team. Okay, moving on.
Okay, what's your second book?
Second book is I actually kind of went with the Adam approach. I also brought in a comic book.
Okay.
I have do I have it here? Yeah, I have it here.
And while we're waiting for it, Daniel, we're going to
The Nightfall Omnibus of Batman. This was the first appearance of Bane.
Oh, cool.
Back in the 90s. Yeah, it's a huge book. It's this big. It's not, it's actually volume 1. This is
That's
like
only volume 1. Hey.
Yeah, there's 3 volumes, but
This is like 3 volumes of One Piece. God, I love omnibuses, don't you? They're just
they're great.
Instead of having like 90 things of One Piece, you can get like 3 of them. What's your favorite Batman? Like, is it that your favorite Batman comic book or what?
I don't know. Just there's so many. Like I like Scott Snyder's run on it for the New 52. I like Nightfall. I don't like. It's hard to say because like here and there, like I'm like someone that I like buying the old comics too. So like seeing like the 80s Batman compared to like this Batman, it's just like I don't know, anything Batman for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's great. 3 and 4. I'm actually having a hard time with this. Hold on. I have.
So while he's gone, for those of you who don't know, an omnibus is basically like a collected thing of instead of getting like 3 different individual volumes, they kind of combine them all together. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like you can say like a director's thing, where like they put all the Lord of the Rings into one disc. That's basically what an omnibus is. And also, what Daniel's gone. A comic book is normally like left to right. Manga are more like right to left, and again, we mentioned the release schedule difference there. We're just trying to stall why Daniel is gone. Alex, you ever read comic books before?
Like the Marvel comic books, not.
Yeah.
Like my dad.
Got any?
I don't have any. And I don't know where they are. They're somewhere in this house, but my dad had some of them, and he'd taken them out.
Right.
I don't know where they are.
Oh, okay.
But no, recently I'm not a big comic book reader.
Mm-hmm. Daniel is his camera is stuck on him halfway sitting down. It's just blurred. You've seen Daniel, the jacket he's wearing today? It's a nice Adidas jacket, isn't it?
Yeah, nice Adidas jacket. Okay, since he's stuck, should I just start and hopefully...
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so I realized after I wrote my 3 books down that they're actually all biographies or autobiographies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it kind of just all happened. I'm going to start from number 3. It's called Cujo. It's not the Stephen King book. It's the book about Curtis Joseph.
Oh, okay.
It's really interesting, and not necessarily just because he's someone bought it for me because he was a Leafs player, but I think it's a very interesting story. Like I think he had I don't want to spoil it obviously, but he had not a very easy upbringing. So for him going from there to going to the NHL is a really interesting story. The second one is the Steve Jobs biography, and it's very, for me, I always found Steve Jobs like an interesting character, his persona, because you get a lot of back and forth in what he was like, in his thinking, and how he acted towards other people, and to see that throughout his entire life was really interesting. And my last one, and I think this was the for me one of the most interesting books that I've read just period, is it's called Open, and it's about Andre Agassi, the tennis player. And to be honest, the only reason I ever got the book is because Andre Agassi's Armenian, and that's the only reason I read the book. But it turns out that like his story just in general is really interesting. I'm going to spoil it. But if you read the book, you find out that really he's not a big fan of tennis.
Really?
Yeah, like it's one of those stories where like, man, this is completely different than what you expect, right? Like for hockey at least, all these guys come out and say they love the sport, they love to play the sport. Whereas like this guy's like, yeah, like I enjoy playing it, but I don't love playing the sport. Like he talks about his dad and how all he did was push him and push him and push him and push him, and it really eventually got him to kind of almost resent the game. But it's a really good read. I would suggest reading those books. Okay, Daniel, give us your last book.
Yeah, sorry.
No
that
worries.
was technical difficulties. My last book is okay, I gave you guys 3, so here's my 4th one.
Oh, you gave us 3?
Yeah, I'll give you an honorable mention. Another one. So I love vintage Archie comics.
Okay.
Like the old digests that you could get. Like I have like a stack of those, and also like a recent one was Afterlife with Archie. So imagine Riverdale during a zombie apocalypse. That's probably one of my favorite comic books of all time.
Yeah.
So well written, and like it just fact like if you loved Archie growing up, then like to put him in this situation is just like crazy. Yeah, I really love that one.
Okay, let's move on to the last one. Last but not least, we're just gonna run through this quickly. Top 3 things to do. I'm gonna go first. Just go through it. Top 3. If you are bored at home right now, which you might be, these are things you can do. Go for a walk. I started going for like a walk every single day for like an hour, and it's the best thing. It's just throw on some music. Hell of a walk. Number 2, read a book. And I think, you know what?
Sounds fun.
I know it sounds funny. You know what the thing is, though? And the reason I wrote it down is because I swear, like, one of the first things we were always told in class, in journalism class, is that we need to read, and not necessarily just newspaper articles and, like, online stuff, but, like, read actual books. And I found that, like, now that I'm starting to read, I don't know, I feel like it might be helping. I don't know yet. But read a book. And the last one, you know what? Learn something new. Okay? You know, now that school's over, I'm finally going to actually do what I've been saying I'm going to do for months and learn about these stupid, crazy, advanced analytics that I've always wanted to learn about.
Awesome.
So I'm hopefully going to, you know, get a little more into that understanding about what Moneyball really was. And hopefully that's the start of it. So... Someone has to be the analytical one on the show.
Yeah. I test.
All right. 3 things. Okay, well, this is like something that I think everyone kind of does in quarantine, but video games. That's just like something where I went like through months of, and like I didn't even realize how many updates I had to do on my PC or on my PS4 because I didn't turn them on for like I didn't turn on Steam or my PS4 for 5 months, I believe.
Okay.
And now, like, it's actually kind of hard not playing every day. My top games right now will probably be NHL 20. We talked about that. NBA 2K20. And I've actually been going back to the old Resident Evil games. So I've been playing Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4. Those are two of my favorites. I'm actually playing the remake of 2. It's really, really freaky.
Yeah.
But worth the money.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. I'm thinking of going back to my favorite series of all time is Metal Gear Solid, so I might go back to that. Number 2, and this is compared to Alex's, and that's for me. I call them thinking walks. So if I'm in the house, cooped up in the house too much, or I am looking at this current feature I have to finish by Saturday, I need time to kind of think. I think best times to kind of go to avoid people is either late at night or really early in the morning. So not really, really late at night, stay safe out there, but do what you can. Number 3, and this is something that I need to work on, and that is keep a tidy room. This is something that I aspire to do, but I'm not at that point yet.
I cleaned under my bed today, and it was bad.
I think, like, I talked to you guys where I've been looking forward to, like, kind of putting up more stuff behind me as we do these episodes, like, earlier. And, like, I haven't gotten to that because, I don't know, hopefully when this feature's done and, I'll have more time. But, we always say that.
Yeah.
So those are the top 3.
Okay, Adam?
All right. So, you've brought up, but yeah, video games. I've been kind of playing Animal Crossing, not as religiously as other people have been, but also I've just started getting into the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and that's really enjoyable so far. It's a really cute game too. A lot of Disney stuff, like your main companions are Goofy and Donald Duck, it sounds terrible, but it's actually really cute. I love it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of other games I played when I was younger. Like, there was a good few years where I just didn't play as many games as I used to because important. Another thing is, and surprise, surprise for me, you can build Lego.
Oh.
Man. Gets old. Behind me, I have my Luke Sandspeeder, my Millennium Falcon, my AT Walker, the Republic version of AT Walker, and the one I got yesterday, Darth Vader's Fortress.
Oh, we didn't tell him about that one.
Yeah, it's wicked. It has like lava in the front. You get like 2 different Vaders. You get me and Vader in his back to tank. So he's
Is it real lava?
It is. Oh man, I'm kidding.
Oh man.
my final one here is you know what? Because I'm pretty meh when it comes back to responding to people. So I've made an effort to get also get in touch with some old friends who I haven't talked to in a while. Like my buddy also, you guys moved to Vancouver, is back in Ontario for a few weeks while COVID's kind of messing everything up. Mm-hmm. So we've been talking a lot more, trying to get back in contact. I've reached out to some other older friends of mine to be like, hey, hope everything's cool. Not everyone gets back to you, but everyone has their lives. But it means that much more when some people do. But I'm not talking about that thing off show that we're all trying to figure out. But I've mentioned it to you. There are some friends, like even in Ryerson, who I hadn't talked to this year that I tried to reach. But even they're like, nah, I'm not going to say. All right.
Just throwing people.
Me in high school would be losing sleep over this, but me right now, if anyone knows me, they know who I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm not going to name names because not as petty as they are.
Oh, okay.
But really, like, this is a good time to get in contact with people because everyone's just looking for something to keep busy. And, we're all in college. We all had friends from elementary school, high school that, I'm sure it doesn't take that much effort to say hey and just how they've been. And it's the little things in life, right?
Yeah. So before we
you've inspired me.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm about to send about lots of text messages.
I promise that when this is all over and we could meet up for class or just hang out, I will be on time.
I promise Musa wouldn't cry, guys.
Okay, I have a couple more things before we go.
Mm-hmm.
A couple surprises. So if you've been on Instagram or Twitter, you've seen these. They give you 9 options. You have to pick 2. Or like which house would you stay in?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to do the Toronto one, but I realized that I don't know half these names, and I guarantee none of us know half these names either. So we're just gonna skip the Toronto one.
Okay.
So let's just start with the food one. So this is from Canadian Party Life. Yeah.
Excellent name.
Yeah. So there's 9 food options. You can only pick 2. I'm gonna list them off.
Okay.
McDonald's,
Alright.
A&W,
Ooh.
Wendy's, KFC,
Mm-hmm.
Popeyes,
Mm-hmm.
Mary Brown's. I don't know what that is either. Starbucks,
Okay.
Tim Hortons,
That's gone.
Pizza. No, Tim Hortons is only gone unless they're selling the hockey cards. Right, Adam? Right, Adam?
Unless they're selling what?
The hockey cards.
Yeah, that is true.
That's the only time they're not there.
If you carry price, we're fine.
Okay, I already know which 2 I'm gonna pick.
All right. Oh God. McDonald's, A&W. I have to pick 2.
Yeah.
Crap. Oh,
Daniel,
that's
do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel, why don't you say while Adam's still thinking?
All right. For me, versatility-wise, as McDonald's has everything.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with nuggets and fries.
That's true.
Their coffee is really good. Like, again, like I mentioned earlier, I work there and like I still love the coffee. Second would be Popeyes for me.
Yeah.
It's not the super favorite, but I don't know. Chicken is so versatile as well.
Yeah.
You can eat it with fries. You can eat it with rice.
I was gonna say
So
the
yeah,
exact
those are
same
my
thing.
top 2.
I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna say the exact same thing. McDonald's and Popeyes, you can't go wrong. Pizza was close, but Popeyes beat that out.
Yeah.
I'm down to 3. Okay. I McDonald's obviously. You've got apple pies,
Okay.
yogurts, fries,
Yeah.
Sundays, Big Macs, nuggets.
Yeah.
Excuse me, hamburgers.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm trying to decide between A&W's and Wendy's. Because A&W's chicken strips are delicious. But Wendy's got the big. No, you know what? I'm gonna go A&W's and McD's because I
Okay.
like A&W's more. Yeah,
Going for the all-out burgers. I see.
You know, we've never
Yeah.
gone for A&W, like the 3 of us. There's one at Ryerson.
Where?
We never went. It's on Church Street towards college.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a 2-second walk away from the RCC.
Well, guess what we're doing in September? We're going to get the McD's.
Is it close?
Sorry,
Is it
A&W.
close to? Is it close to
Down
Maple
there?
Leaf Gardens? No.
It's like on the way towards it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I still call it Maple Leaf Gardens. You know what? Because I forgot the name. Okay.
It's 12 laws. Oh, damn it. You're right. David Harris works there.
You know what?
Ooh.
You know what?
David Harris.
I
he
don't
works-
appreciate that.
He's an operations
You
manager.
know how I feel about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna send you this one, and then I'm gonna read the names out as you guys decide. It's an NHL Choose Your Quarantine House. Okay.
Okay.
So I just sent it to you on Instagram. I'm gonna read the house names. You guys decide. I'm pretty sure I know who both of you are gonna pick. Now, house number 1: Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Tyson Berry, and Justin Bieber. House number 2: Keith Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, and Brett Hull. House number 3: Keith Yandel, Kevin Hayes, Carter Hart, Johnny Gaudreau. House number 4: Joe Thornton, Brett Burns, Patrick Marleau, and Joe Pavelski. House number 5: Sergei Bobrovsky, Artemi Panarin, Mr. Ritzy, I don't know who that is, Nikita Kucherov. House number 6: Alex Ovechkin, TJ Oshie, Tom Wilson, and Evgeny Kuznetsov. House number 7: Brendan Gallagher, Kevin Bieksa, Charlie D'Amelio, and Matthew Joseph. And last but not least, house number 8: Dougie Hamilton, Andrei Svechnikov, Hamilton the Pig, and Jordan Martinook.
Hamilton the Pig. Man, I would go to that house if instead of Jordan Martinook, it was Kyle Pakauskas as well. I won't lie to you.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you all know which one I'm picking.
Obviously, you want to go hang out with Justin Bieber.
Of course.
Okay.
House number one.
Yeah, apparently Tyson. I like whatever with Marner and Mitch, but apparently Tyson Berry's a real ball buster. And his interview with American Freeman is my favorite hockey interview.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
Yes, of course.
Daniel.
Yes. I would pick. Okay, I'll pick probably 4.
House 4. That is Joe Thornton, Brett Burns, Patrick Marleau, Joe Pavelski. Are you trying to upset the fans of Anaheim? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
No, it's just, I'm looking back on all these guys, 3 out of the 4 solid Canadian boys that have played at all levels. It's just like, they're all veterans, so like it's kind of subdued in a way that I know it's just going to be a relaxing thing, no partying. I could
you're not
get my
allowed
sleep.
to party, Daniel. It's a quarantine house, okay? Social distancing.
Oh, true, it's a quarantine house.
Social
but,
distancing.
Social distance, even in the house. So like,
I don't
2 of us have to be on the first floor, and 1 has to be on the third floor.
No.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like they have the best stories, to be honest.
That's true.
They've been around.
Burns and Thornton would just be half naked with their beards out like all day though. Like, see all the. You think I'm joking? Like,
No,
have you
don't. I know you're serious. I didn't think about that.
If his kids weren't around, I don't think he'd have clothes on. I mean, let's look at that ESPN. What is with the Sharks and doing those ESPN coverage? 3 of them have done it.
I don't know. Didn't Eric Carlson do it too? Or no?
I don't think Carlson did it. Man, if Eric Carlson did that, I'd never shut up about it. Like, let's be very honest.
I just felt like he did it. I don't know why.
Is Daniel? Did we lose Daniel? Hello?
Maybe.
That's
okay. Okay, I'm pretty sure I know which one you're going to pick.
Okay.
Yeah,
which one do you think I'm
House 7.
Okay, I'll give me your reasons why you think I'm going to choose House 7 with Brendan Gallagher.
Brendan Gallagher's the obvious one, and I think the fact that you have Kevin Bieksa too is just an added thing to be like, hey, you know what? I don't know who Charlie D'Amelio is. Do you?
She's a really famous TikToker, I'm pretty sure.
Is she?
Yeah.
I'm going to search it up.
Okay, and then Matthew Joe is the Tampa Bay player.
Yeah, she's a TikToker.
She's
a TikToker. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I won't lie. I've seen some of her stuff, not a lot, but she's pretty jokes. Bieksa's amazing too. I love Bieksa.
Yeah.
Galley's Gal, right? But I was actually not going to choose 7.
Wow.
I was going to choose House number 3, which is Johnny Gaudreau, Carter Hart, Kevin Hayes, and Keith Yandel.
And tell me why.
So Keith Yandel's hilarious.
Okay.
So that would be pretty easy. Whatever, but I don't care. Like Johnny Gaudreau's whatever, right? I don't really care about him or Kevin Hayes. But like Yandel would just keep us going, and Carter Hart, his favorite player is Carey Price. Right. So I get to go with another hockey. I get to go to a hockey player and just brag and just talk about Carey Price and how wicked he is all day. And Keith Yandel's just there being total jokes. I'm sorry, but like I just.
That surprised me.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk to Carter Hart about his Team Canada ritual.
Okay.
And I just feel like there's a lot to talk about with those guys. And I'd love to talk to Hayes and Hart about how crazy Philly is. And I'd love to see hey Hayes, how jokes is that you got that deal? And he'd probably be like, yeah, I know.
I have no idea why I got that deal.
It's like Carter Hart, I think of all these guys closest to my age, so that'd be pretty just. Or like Andrei Svechnikov, but I really don't want to share a house with a pig. So I'm gonna go house number 3 with the funniest guy in the league, Kevin Hayes, who I'm pretty sure I've heard is pretty funny, and Carter Hart, who's somewhat relatable. And Johnny Gaudreau's just there eating ham and cheese. I don't know.
Okay, that's the last thing. I would have done the Toronto one, but to be honest, I don't know half the names on there, and I don't expect you to know those names either.
Mm-hmm. Is it guys like Straw on there or something?
Well, I can send it to you. If you think you can do it, we can do it when Daniel comes back.
If he comes back, I think we just lost him. I know. I think the Ducks got to him. They saw that he wanted to hang out with Jumbo Joe and thought, yeah, no, we're done. Man, I think it's brave going to because Brett Burns has all his animals and that. He's a big reptile collector.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't see why he would want to go hang out there, but that's fine. Okay, I just sent it to you.
All right. Sure. You know what? While I'm reading this up, do you want to tell everyone what we're doing for next episode?
Yeah, next episode. So next episode, I have one of my friends. We've been pretty much going to the same school since forever. He goes to Arizona State University, so we're going to talk to him about some NCAA. Talk about some players, one player in particular, and we are going to ask him about one former NHL goalie who is currently volunteering at Arizona State. And after that, we will be talking about the 2014 to 2016 Toronto Maple Leafs, because some people just like to play with me.
Yeah.
Okay, so Daniel's internet went out, so...
Okay, so let's look. Drake, Vladdy Guerrero Jr., Margaret Atwood, Doug Ford. Man, I feel like Margaret Atwood would just have it out with him. Shawn Mendes, Sergei Bakko. I don't know who White Squirrel is, and I couldn't take... Lily Singh, I know who she is, but I couldn't take her out of the line. IKEA, don't know who anyone there is. Dead Mouse, Chair Girl, a Raccoon, and Austin Matthews. John Tory, Bianca, I don't know who anyone else is there. Man, honestly...
you don't know half these names, do you?
I would probably, I don't know, I'm sure, Serge Ibaka is pretty jokes, and Shawn Mendes is, good at singing. Why not?
I don't even...
Who White Squirrel is.
I thought they just meant a white squirrel.
Well,
they put a raccoon.
That is true. Okay, let's look up White Squirrel.
Honestly, I looked at it, and I'm like, man, I think I just pick House 4. I don't know who half the people there are, though. I just know John Tory and Bianca.
That's true.
That's the only reason I'm going.
Okay, I'm going to look up White Squirrel Toronto. Is it... White Squirrel Way. There's White Squirrel Coffee Shop.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just a white squirrel, man.
We're at the end of the show.
Yeah, I think at this point, the fact that we're talking about white squirrels and raccoons, we've gone way too far. So why don't we end this episode?
I would agree with that. I'm just going to let Daniel know.
Okay, so if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to like it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out some clips. And, while you're there, leave a comment. Maybe we'll read it. And, you know what? Check out the Instagram page.
Daniel sends his regards to the listeners, by the way.
Check out the Instagram page. Make sure that you also check out all our social media links. Make sure to check out Adam's YouTube page. I don't know what he's doing. I feel like I ask him every episode. He just doesn't.
We're working on an Andre Markov video.
Oh, okay. The Andre Markov video is coming out soon, so make sure to check out his YouTube channel. Thank you for listening. See you.
Yeah. Say bye, Carrie. Bye.